What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson here with Pod at the Palace and Inside Arkansas, joined today by my right-hand man, Andrew Ellis. We're coming to you with something we've been looking forward to doing, especially after watching Arkansas and Ole Miss play football. It's our season predictions for Arkansas basketball. We're going to go game by game through this thing, break it down, give you our hot takes and a final season record for the Razorbacks after watching them through two exhibition games, Andrew, that had a lot of good and then about a quarter and 2 minutes worth of not so good.
Well, I purposely, when we were talking about when we were going to sit down and do this, I was like, I really want to do it after that second exhibition, just in case, something crazy happens, in case they look really bad. And so, I'm glad that we have a little bit more information, because if we had done this 4 days ago, we might have had them, 30-2, 30-3, like whatever. But I guess not, whatever. I'm actually not as pessimistic as I would have expected to be after watching them lose to TCU on the road, which I did not expect to happen. But I'm looking forward to doing my predictions, and I hope I'm not too homery.
I like it. Well, I mean, this is the number 16 team in the country, so expectations are relatively high for the Razorbacks, picked fourth in the SEC. But not everyone is a big fan of the Razorbacks. It seems like, for the most part, humans who rank these things feel pretty good about where Arkansas is at. Computers, it's a little bit interesting. I know you've been looking at ESPN BPI. I think it has Arkansas, was it like 42nd in the country? I was looking at Torvik. It has them at like 35th. So there are some computers that aren't necessarily buying in just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, and it's weird with the computers preseason, because they always do these models and people always freak out about Ken Palm or whatever. And then after like 3 games, they'll move so drastically. It's because when there's no data, when you add a new piece of data, it holds a lot of weight. And so, if Arkansas beats Lipscomb by 43, Ken Palm will all of a sudden have them as number 7 in the country. It's just how it's going to work out. So I expect a lot of this when you're also with a new team that has a bunch of new pieces. I think the metric stats and a lot of these sites that we're referencing are very big on the numbers and the data, where like if you look at the data for DJ Wagner, not that great of a player. You look at the data for Boogie Fland, doesn't exist. And some of these things, Trevin Brazil, not a good player. And so I think that's a big part of why Arkansas's roster, some of the like metric-based outlets or metric-based rankings don't really know what to do with them at this point in the year.
Yeah, for sure. It's really difficult to come up with any kind of fair or reasonable expectation for what a freshman is going to do until they've come in and actually done it. So, like, if they reevaluated these based on exhibition games, they'd probably be higher on Arkansas because you've seen some stuff from Boogie Fland now. Not the case, whatever. We're going to get into our picks here. So, Arkansas opens the regular season Wednesday night against Lipscomb. That's a familiar name. They are pretty good. Now, if you guys remember that at North Little Rock last year when they couldn't figure out how to get the damn lights turned on at Simmons Bank Arena, and then eventually they did, Arkansas gets up by about 20 in this game. They're cruising. You're like, wow, they're finally going to avoid the weirdness that is North Little Rock. And then Lipscomb comes all the way back. It was nuts. Arkansas hangs on. They wind up winning that game by 3. Lipscomb brings quite a bit back off that team, including their all-league big man who was out for the season. Like, he got hurt in the preseason last year and he's back. So they're loaded. They're actually picked to win the A-Sun. This is a game that Arkansas is favored to win, should win, but it's, like you've seen Lipscomb before, like those dudes can be tricky. So they're going to have to be ready and locked in, dialed in. Ken Palm has Arkansas projected to win this game 85-69. So a 16-point spread via Ken Palm. I think Arkansas is going to win this game. I think they're going to win it pretty comfortably.
I think they will too. This is the type of game that if it were at a different point in the season, like maybe where that UTSA game is, where it's kind of right in between two things, it could sneak up on you. I think day 1 of the season, especially coming off the performance Arkansas put out there on Friday, I don't think Arkansas is going to come lollygagging into this night 1. Although I'm not expecting a massive crowd at Bud Walton Arena, I don't think Arkansas is dumb enough to get caught this early. Now, if this game were at a different point, I really would have my eyeball on it. And Lipscomb is a scrappy program. I mean, if you've made the tournament in the last 15 years, that's enough for me to say that you're like scrappy. So I'm like, okay, I've got my eye on you. But I do think Arkansas should be able to get the job done in a fairly comfortable way.
Yeah, I'll give them that for sure. So no drama there, and we're gonna move some of these pretty quick because otherwise we'll be doing this for like 2 hours. But the next game we'll want to talk about a little bit because Saturday night Arkansas will be at the American Airlines Center in Dallas taking on Baylor, who is a top 10 program historically now for the last several years under Scott Drew, who's done hell of a job there, and they are again this year. Just what a banger of a first week game for college basketball. I'm really, really looking forward to this one. Baylor's good. They've got some guys coming back. Langston Love is back. They have VJ Edgecombe, who's one of the top incoming freshmen in the country, another McDonald's All-American. And then they went in the transfer portal and did some nasty work. Now they went and got Jeremy Roach from Duke, who is just a veteran, experienced, really talented, and proven productive point guard. And they went and got Norshad Omier out of Miami, who is the 6'7", 240-pound freak, man. I mean, he started at Arkansas State. That's why people remember him. Put up monster numbers there, transferred to Miami, went to a Final Four with those guys, 4 seasons of college basketball, 4 years where he has averaged a double-double, and he keeps evolving his game. He shot 36% and made over a three-pointer, 1 3-pointer per game last year. So he is good. This is going to be a big, big test for Arkansas. Stylistically, it's going to be kind of a clash of styles, which is going to be really interesting. Andrew, I had this projected as a win for Arkansas. I'm flipping to a loss. And it's not because I have a bunch of big picture concerns about the Razorbacks. It's because those dudes are not in game shape right now. And I don't know if you can get from where they were against TCU to where you need to be to beat a really, really good Baylor team in 1 week. Now, they handled Kansas, so maybe they can, but that just really jumped off the page at me. We're not 100% sure yet where Jonas Adu falls into the picture for the first couple games here. They think he's going to play. Until we see it, we don't really know what that's going to look like. If all things were equal and Adu was out there and Arkansas hadn't been practicing with 5 guys, and so they don't quite have their game legs under them, I'd be like, yeah, give me Arkansas, man. I think they're going to do it in this spot. I got to find losses somewhere, brother. And I think this is one of them, given those circumstances.
Yeah, and I think with Arkansas's, somewhat concerning, I mean, not somewhat, pretty concerning effort, especially in the second half against TCU. Another thing that kind of jumped out to me is just the first time we've really seen this team play away from home. I mean, we've only seen them play 2 actual, somewhat real games. And, to see them look so good at home and then look as flat and run out of gas the way they did on the road, this Baylor game is not going to be at home. And I feel like that's at least a factor there, but I agree, Curtis. And if I can offer a peek behind the curtain and how I'm doing these predictions, of course, I'm trying to just, whoever I think is going to win the game, but also I want to make sure I'm being fair and objective as an Arkansas observer, as, a guy who, is very connected to this program. I don't want to be doing too much. So if I'm picking Arkansas to beat a team, maybe they're not projected to beat, which if you look at the early metrics now, I think Baylor is going to probably be favored in that game. If I'm going to pick Arkansas to, beat Baylor, I would have to on the other end, pick them to lose to someone they didn't want to. Curtis, I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to have them taking a respectable loss to Baylor. But I will say, I do think they are going to look much better in this game. Yes. I don't think it's going to be the type of loss that people are like, well, they got exposed. They're clearly not, I think it's going to be a single digit loss, like a low 5-6 point loss where, they just play a good team on the road early in the year, not quite ready to be firing on all cylinders just yet. Not a concerning one, but I do have them taking a loss here as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I kind of see it playing out somewhat similarly to TCU, where there are stretches throughout the game and even on into the second half where you're like, man, this Arkansas, they've got it figured out. This team has Final Four potential. And then I just wonder if they're going to run out of gas late. And then you have a guy like Jeremy Roach who's making plays, and you got heavy legs with Boogie Fland, and those shots aren't falling late. I think they lose a close one. KenPom has Baylor projected to win this one 76-73. So a 1-possession game gives Arkansas a 38% chance to win there on the neutral. So the next game after that, back home, Wednesday, November 13th, they play Troy. Troy is the team that Arkansas played right after they came back from Maui a couple years ago. Devo Davis disappeared from the team. It was Nick Smith's debut. They almost got beat. It was Barry Dunning's start. Congratulations. But they almost got beat in that game. Troy will zone you. And so that's going to be something that Arkansas hasn't seen a lot of, that they're going to have to be ready for. You look at it on one hand, you go, well, damn, they've shot 13 for 48 or whatever it was from 3-point range and through these 2 exhibitions. I think they're going to be quite a bit better than that, but it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic play out. Troy is they're picked to finish 3rd in the Sun Belt. They've got a handful of 20-win seasons the past couple of years here. They're just a respectable mid-major program. KenPom has Arkansas projected to win this one by 15, 81-66. I think that's probably about right. I think Arkansas takes care of business here, but I'm more intrigued by a midweek November matchup with Troy than I am probably some other ones, because I'm looking forward to seeing Arkansas get zoned, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, look, and there's Arkansas goes 6 for 24 from three in the first exhibition, goes 7 for 24 in the next one. I know a lot of Hog fans kind of somewhat jokingly were like, "Is this just going to be like an Eric Musselman team that just doesn't shoot?" That Troy game will certainly test that. But Curtis, I actually think that Arkansas should be able to handle this matchup. I mean, I'm not breaking any news here, and really, I think if I were ranking Arkansas's first three non-high, outside of the Baylor game, if I were ranking Lipscomb, Troy, and Pacific, I think I would do it in that order. You could argue for Lipscomb and Troy there, but I do think like this, just where it happens on the schedule, I think Arkansas will be coming off of a loss like we projected. They'll be happy to be home and against an inferior opponent. I think you're going to get like a little bit of a renewed effort out of them after they take their first official loss. And so I think this is one that, like, again, could be a trap game if it fell in a different situation, but it's early enough in the year. I think Arkansas will still be plenty motivated. Hopefully by this point, you're also getting a healthy and integrated Jonas Adu. Yes. I think Arkansas should be able to handle this matchup. And I'll let you take it for Pacific, but I think the Pacific one is a less weird matchup. Let's just say.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say about that one. That one's going to be Monday, November 18th. So Arkansas will have the weekend off before that game. Pacific has a new coach. They weren't good last year. They're picked to finish 10th in the WCC this year. Whatever. Kim Pom projects Arkansas to win by 24. I think they'll win by more than that. I think that's going to be maybe one of your first opportunities to like get to see maybe some real second half minutes for Cash Chavis and, like some of those other guys like that. I think they'll get in maybe in some of these other early games, but like legit second half, here's 8 minutes, go have fun kind of stuff. But yeah, I think Arkansas will really handle business there. After that, an interesting game. Arkansas gets to see Little Rock. Almost head coach Darrell Walker comes to town November 22nd. That game's in Bud Walton Arena. Little Rock is good, man. They're projected to win the whatever league they're in now. Are they still in the Sun Belt? Did they move to the OVC?
I think they are. I think they're OVC now.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
I don't think Little Rock's a Sun Belt team anymore.
They are. Yeah, they're in the OVC now. That's right. Because they damn near won that thing last year. So there they are. And here's the thing about Little Rock. They got votes in the AP poll, the AP top 25. They've got a good roster. They went out and got Jonathan Lawson, who is Chandler Lawson's brother. They went and got Coach Z's favorite SEC player of all time, Mwani Wilkinson from LSU. So we remember that dude. Yeah, and so they've got some players now. The thing that sucks is probably the biggest part of the intrigue of this game would be KK Robinson coming back, playing Arkansas in Bud Walton Arena, but he's hurt. Went down with a knee injury in practice last week, out indefinitely, going to miss an extended period of time. With that being said, I wouldn't expect he would be available for that game. So that puts a damper on not only what you would probably see there, but also that hurts because he's arguably their best guard there in the backcourt. Has carved out a nice career for himself at Little Rock. So Arkansas is projected to win this one by 21 points. I think I don't know if they'll beat them by 21, but I think they're going to beat them comfortably. No drama here, in my opinion, against Little Rock.
Yeah, again, like it almost makes too much sense for this to be a game that would give Arkansas trouble, which is why I think they won't have trouble here. Cal will get to do the whole thing about embracing the state and all that. And Arkansas might not have to deal with KK Robinson and the challenges he presents in this game. We'll see. I don't know the timetable on his injury or whatever, but no, I think this is one that I comfortably am gonna call a win here. And also Little Rock last year kind of came out of nowhere, right?
They did.
Like they had been really struggling to the point where I thought Darrell Walker was going to get fired there. I feel like the teams that overachieve like that one year are due to kind of come back to earth a little bit. So I expect that to be the case with Little Rock, which is extremely unfair for me to say that about a program that I've done zero research on. But I think they're going to come back to earth a little bit. I think Arkansas is going to handle business in this game at home.
Fair enough. There you go. Maryland Eastern Shore is next, not Maryland College Park, which is the Terps. That game is on Monday, November 25th. Maryland Eastern Shore is not good. So we can just go ahead and throw that out there right now. They are projected 362nd in the country at KenPom, and I think that's actually how many teams there are. So that's where you're at. Arkansas is projected to win by like 35, according to KenPom. Yeah, it's going to be blowout city. That one's not going to do a ton for him. Again, another opportunity for Cash Chavis to have people start saying, should he be playing more?
Yeah.
Should he be in this rotation?
He's lighting it up, man.
Yeah, maybe he needs to be ahead of Trevin Brazil in the rotation. That's what's going to happen after this one. But yeah, easy work for Arkansas. So I think I've got them at 5-1 through their first 6. Is that where you're at as well?
Yes, I do. I had to look long and hard at Maryland East Shore, but I do have them still there.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. This one's a banger, man. Thanksgiving Day, Illinois in Kansas City on CBS. What a freaking awesome game, man. I'm so happy that they're doing this. Kudos to Brad Underwood and John Calipari for getting this game done. It's going to be electric. I'm really excited about it. Illinois is good, but there's a lot of unknowns with them. They got a lot of new faces on the team this year. They're picked, I think, in the top 5 of the Big Ten, which is a good place to be. Like Coleman Hawkins is gone, and some of those guys who have been so good for him over the course of the past few years is gone. It seems like, which is interesting to me, they've put together a very good offensive team, and you kind of wonder how they're going to hold up defensively. But cool things about it, Arkansas played Illinois recently in an NCAA tournament, so you kind of have that going for you. It is the battle of the Z's, the Avicic brothers getting after it, because Big Z's bro got cleared finally over there for Illinois. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Illinois is actually projected to win this game at KenPom 78-75. So a 1-possession game. I'm going against the computers here. I think I kind of went into it saying I'm going to have Arkansas splitting these first 2 between Baylor and Illinois. I had them losing to Baylor, so I'm going to have them beating Illinois. And I think it's going to kind of be your first little signature win of the John Calipari era for Arkansas.
Well, I think this would qualify as a signature win, and it would be nice, especially if we're having them lose that Baylor game, to see them kind of rise to the occasion in a moment like this. I'm sure there will be a lot of eyeballs on that Thanksgiving Day game. So, Curtis, you went with the split of the Baylor and Illinois thing. I went with the opposite, where the ESPN BPI has Arkansas under 50% to win this game and the road game at Miami, which follows this, which I don't necessarily see. I don't know. I feel like both of them are like a lot closer to 50-50. And honestly, I feel like Arkansas should be probably maybe favored to win at Miami. Mm-hmm. But the ESPN BPI has them there. And so I was like, I can't pick Arkansas to win both of those games. And so I have them dropping this Illinois game. Part of what came into this decision for me, Curtis, and this is real good analysis here, I just feel like it makes a lot of sense for Arkansas to drop one on Thanksgiving when everyone's watching, when we're kind of desperate for something cool to happen, and we got the Missouri football game lingering over, and we're like, man, I really hope it won't be a bad Arkansas weekend where they lose both. Like, I feel like it just makes too much sense for Arkansas to lose a snooze fest here.
Yeah. I mean, I would not be surprised to see that at all. Just a couple notes on these guys. It's like an influx of international talent for Illinois, and I think that's why they're a little bit of an unknown, because you never really know how that's going to translate. A couple familiar names: Trey White, who was an All Pac-12 freshman player at USC, and then was at Louisville as a really good player for them last year. He's over there now. And then Kylan Boswell, who was a starting point guard for Arizona last season, the NCAA tournament team. So they did some pretty good work there in the transfer portal. You have it as a loss. I have it as a dub. Up next is that game with Miami on the road in the ACC-SEC Challenge. I'm actually going to go loss here for Arkansas. I agree with you. I think they should probably win. They should probably be favored to win this game. KenPom actually projects them to win this. It's a 50-50 split, but they have Arkansas winning at 77-76. I'm just doing the first time true road game, maybe a letdown after a big win against Illinois thing. That's where I'm at with it in my thought process.
Gotcha. And see, I went with the exact opposite, where I said I can't have Arkansas winning both of these games that the metrics have them projected to lose. So I have Arkansas bouncing back here against this Miami team. Miami basketball has been weird over the last decade, where like it's a wide range of results. Like I remember the Larinaga teams that were like awesome, and I remember having, what was that little point guard they had that was really good way back in the day?
Oh, what was his name? Likes Chris Likes.
Well, there was Chris Likes, but there was. It's actually, believe it or not who I was referencing. A different little point guard that they had that like played in the NBA for a little bit. But anyways, Miami's been kind of all over the map. Like they've had some really bad seasons as well. And so look, I don't know what their atmosphere is like for basketball down there. I feel like this is a game. Again, I have Arkansas losing to Illinois. So I'm going kind of the opposite version of you, where I'm like, I think they're still going to be kind of dialed in and kind of eager to get a real win over a real opponent. And I think the Miami win would classify as this. And I think the Illinois obviously would as well. And look, I think Arkansas could very well win both of these games. I'm not saying that, but I felt like I was generous to Arkansas in conference play. So for anyone that thinks I'm like hating on the team and not giving them a ton of credit, it's coming. Don't you worry. But I switched last minute and had them losing to Illinois. But I do think they're going to be able to split this 2-game stretch there of Illinois and Miami. I just have it them beating Miami. You have them beating Illinois.
Gotcha. A couple names to know. Returners for Miami. Nigel Pack was the Kansas State guard who's been really good for them. Matthew Cleveland, who was originally at Florida State. Arkansas was in on him a couple years ago in the portal. He's really good. They went and got a sharpshooter in Brandon Johnson out of the portal, who I was really high on. Also, Jalen Blackman out of Stetson, who I think Cal was actually in touch with when he was still at Kentucky. So they went and did some nice work in the transfer portal. Anyway, moving on. Next up for Arkansas, December 7th. This is that trap game. UTSA, say what you want about those dudes as a basketball program, but they've got a new coach who was, I think his name's Clonch, maybe. Anyway, he was at Alabama under Nate Oates. So he's going to be running that kind of system, which means a crap ton of threes. They're going to play fast. Anytime you have a team that shoots like that, you wonder, if they get hot, you got to pay attention to them. It's sandwiched in between the Miami game and the Madison Square Garden game. So you wonder how dialed in they're going to be. They went out and recruited a lot of Division I guards. High major guards is who they've got on this roster. So some names that I'll just run through them here real quick. Primo Spears. Everybody remembers Primo. Georgetown was at Florida State last year. So this is an experienced dude who's played a lot of basketball. They have a TCU transfer on their roster. They have a Wake Forest transfer on their roster. Damari Monsanto, who, by the way, is an excellent shooter. A Vandy transfer on their roster. So a Mississippi State transfer on the roster. You get the point. Like, they went and got a bunch of high major guys who maybe weren't the biggest contributors at their previous stop, but they played against this level of competition. So that's a sneaky one to keep an eye on there. With that being said, I'm not going to live in a world where I think Arkansas is going to lose to a mid-major in Bud Walton Arena in John Calipari's first season. If it happens, I'm going to be pissed off. I've got Arkansas winning this one fairly comfortably. They're projected to win by 21 points, according to KenPom.
Yeah, I think this is one Arkansas takes care of business in. If there's a scheduled trap game, this would be it. I mean, like you said, right smack dab in the middle of two big away from home games. And then for me, I have them coming off of a huge win over Miami. Maybe they'll be feeling themselves a little bit. So I could see this one being uglier than it's supposed to be and closer than that 21-point margin. But I think, year one of a new head coach, I don't know if UTSA is going to be in a position where they're really ready to win a game like this, which would be a freaking massive win. Is UTSA still Conference USA? Because Conference USA basketball, I feel like, is underrated. It's been pretty solid here for a while now, but it doesn't affect this team because most of their players have not played Conference USA games yet.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. That's a good point. They are in the American.
Oh wow, that has to be new. But anyway,
so. Wow, good for them. Okay,
we wish the Roadrunners well in their trek in the American Athletic Conference. But yes, I do have Arkansas winning this one comfortably.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so Michigan is up next. That is the Madison Square Garden game, Tuesday, December 10th. The Jimmy V Classic. Dusty May and Vlad Golden against their former teammate and player in John L. Davis. So a lot of intrigue there. It's under the brightest lights. Cal's not losing this game at Madison Square Garden. First of all, I don't. Michigan's going to be better than they were last year. Like, they went out and got some pretty solid players. I think they got an Auburn transfer. They got the big dude from Yale that everybody was excited about. Obviously, he brought a guy or two over from Florida Atlantic. Like, they've got some nice pieces there. I think they're going to be improved from last year. I don't think they're beating Arkansas in Madison Square Garden. So I've got the Razorbacks winning that one. Probably in a competitive game. They're only a 1-point favorite according to KenPom.
I have this pegged as my game that Arkansas is going to look awesome in. And this is going to be the game where people really start to do the oh crap, this team's loaded. Look at all the prospects. I mean, Boogie Flan had 25 points. I think this is going to be when Arkansas starts to kind of not peak, because you don't want to peak in December. But I think this is when Arkansas starts to really find their form a little bit. Again, Arkansas playing away from home, but also Michigan, not particularly close to Madison Square Garden, although I guess closer. But I also think this is just a nice little stage set against a team that's also in year one with a lot of turnover. I've been very critical of old Dusty May, thinking I thought he was a little overrated at FAU. I thought that he got a little credit. John L. Davis carried him. I'll just go ahead and say that. But I do think Michigan in year one is in a little bit of a transition, and they'll be good. I think they'll be better because Michigan's really underachieved here the last couple of years. But I don't think they're as equipped to deal with their year one situation than Arkansas is. I think Arkansas is going to be a little bit ahead of schedule. And I think this time of year, you're not going to be able to, like, at this point, Arkansas will have started to find themselves a little bit. I think Arkansas comes out here and smokes Michigan by like 18.
I like that. I like that a lot. The last 3 non-conference games, do you have any drama? Do you have Arkansas losing to Central Arkansas, North Carolina, A&T, or Oakland?
No, I don't think I have anything crazy going on there.
Good. Okay, so we'll move through these quicker. I will just say that the UCA game is December 14th. That's the Simmons Bank Arena game, so that's always the one that can tend to get weird. Whatever. I think Arkansas takes care of business there. North Carolina A&T, not a good basketball team, but they have a bunch of Arkansas dudes. Ryan Forrest from Marion, who I covered when he was in high school, is over there. Landon Glasper, who started his career at a Division II school and is now over there as the returning leading scorer in the country, and he's a Fayetteville kid. So interesting stuff there. So they have some cool pieces. Whatever, not going to be a problem for Arkansas. And then Jack Golke ain't walking through that door for Oakland. That'll be interesting because of the storylines with Cal and Kentucky. But I think Arkansas is going to thump those dudes pretty good there. So at the end of non-conference, I have Arkansas at 11-2 with losses to Baylor and Miami.
And I'm 11-2 with losses to Illinois and Baylor.
Okay, there you go. Let's jump into SEC play here. Arkansas opens on the road January 4th at Tennessee. Jonas Adu versus Rick Barnes is the way I'm looking at this one. Man, this is just going to be an awesome game. Big time moment, for Cal in his first SEC game at Arkansas. That being said, I'm not as high as I was on Tennessee last year. I think they've got some good pieces. It's so hard to win in Thompson-Boling Arena. I got to go loss here, if I'm being honest with you, about in the opener for Arkansas on the road at Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a game Arkansas can win, and Tennessee is like the type of team where like they don't really blow people out for the most part. It's going to be a little bit ugly. It's probably going to be lower scoring. It's going to be a game on the road. It's really tough to win those type of games. I think I could see Arkansas winning, but if we're just making predictions, I don't know how in good faith I could say at this point and at this stage I'm confident in Arkansas beating Tennessee on the road. And now when that game comes around, I might change my mind. But preseason, if you're just looking at games, if you're not picking a loss here, you're probably not picking a ton of losses for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Then Arkansas has their home opener in SEC play Wednesday, January 8th against Chris Beard and Ole Miss. Ole Miss team that's really good, man. Like Matthew Morrell's back, Jamin Breakfield's back. They went and got Malik Dia, Mikael Brown-Jones out of the portal for post players there. Really, he's got a nice roster put together. I think this is an NCAA tournament team. They're going to be tough and physical. With that said, I'm not picking John Calipari to lose his SEC home opener. I've got Arkansas over Ole Miss, and what I think is going to be a hell of a game between two teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it should be a really awesome atmosphere. And this will be the first home game Arkansas's had in a long time at this point in the year that like really means something, and it should have a ton of fans there. Are students on campus at this point, or are they maybe just now getting back?
They're probably just starting to get back. Yeah, gotcha. Maybe.
But either way, that Ole Miss game with Chris Beard, with all of that, it's going to have a ton of heat behind it. I think it's going to be an awesome atmosphere, and I think Arkansas wins a close one here.
Yeah, there you go. Saturday, January 11th, Arkansas plays Florida, who people are very, very high on this year with some of the pieces that come back. They think this maybe when Todd Golden kind of gets things rolling for the Gators here. I think Arkansas has a better team than Florida. I am actually, though, going to pick Florida to win this basketball game. And the reason I'm doing it is because I've picked Arkansas to go undefeated in Bud Walton Arena every year, and they always lose one. Randomly. And so I had to pick one somewhere. This is where I'm going to pick it. And there's some strategery with my big picture schedule around this. I think this is one where Arkansas gets caught. And it's kind of interesting with the John L. Davis versus Elijah Martin, two guys who were in a Final Four backcourt together. But I think Martin gets the best of them here. I got Florida winning this game.
I like the thought process. I don't like the pick because I'm going with Arkansas win. But I will say this, Curtis, I'm not as high on Florida as everyone else seems to be, which is fine. I just was stunned when I saw they were in the top 25, but it kind of makes sense when you look at some of the pieces. Like, I think they're going to be good. I think Florida is going to underachieve early. And so by this point, they will not be in the top 25. They will not be a team with a ton of buzz. I think this is going to be a game that's way closer than people expect. Like, I think by this point in the year, especially if Arkansas beats Ole Miss, whips up on Michigan the way I think they are, I think Arkansas is going to be getting plenty of buzz here. And I think Florida, who I think is not as good as they're projected to be, is going to play well in this game and really push Arkansas. And it'll be, I'm thinking maybe a 2 or 3 point game. And people will be like, oh man, like, is that a concerning performance? And it won't actually be a concerning performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. After that, Arkansas has their first road swing of the year. Back-to-back road games the following week against LSU on January 14th and Missouri on January 18th. 2 games. Like, if you were going to have your first road swing, I feel like those would probably be 2 of the 3 or 4 teams that you would want it to be against. I have Arkansas taking care of business in both of these. I'm curious if you have any drama here on the first road stretch.
I do have Arkansas winning both, but I don't feel great about it. And it literally is as simple as if they were playing anyone other than the 2 or the 3 or 4 worst teams in the SEC, I would really, it's just hard to win back-to-back road games. In any conference, in the SEC, I mean, literally, if you subbed out like either of those teams with like Georgia or like, I don't know, like literally anybody who's just like a little bit more competent, I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I think Arkansas wins both of them, and I could see at least one of them being really ugly. But yeah, I don't have any controversy yet. I couldn't bring myself to pick an L there.
Yeah, most of the time when I see a 2-game road stretch in SEC play, I pick a split at best, and it's kind of what I'm going to do the rest of the way. But yeah, this one I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, I think they're going to get it done there. And that's part of it. I was like, okay, I have to have a loss in here somewhere. And I know it seems weird to have it at home, but I just think Florida's better than both of those teams. That's kind of why I picked that. After that, they have a two-game home swing against teams projected closer to the bottom of the league. You got Georgia coming in Wednesday, January 22nd, and you got Oklahoma coming in Saturday, January 25th. And again, like, I know I kind of got them racking up the wins here. I have Arkansas winning both of those games at home. Georgia could be a sneaky team to keep an eye on in terms of some bubble talk. Oklahoma is not. I think they might finish last in the league this year between them and Vanderbilt. But I have Arkansas picking up another pair of wins at home to get off to a pretty damn solid start in league play.
I have them winning both these games as well. Now I understand that we now have them at like 5-1 in SEC play. Like they're starting to rack up some wins here. Although you did have them, I guess you have them with 2 losses with Florida and Tennessee. Yeah. So I guess I'm being a little generous, just saying they're gonna pass all of these seemingly doable tests. I agree that Georgia is the one that like gives me a little bit of pause. Even though I think Mike White is a fraud, so it doesn't give me that much pause. Oklahoma, not threatened by those cats at all, especially now that they're not playing in that god-awful arena in Tulsa.
Yeah, okay. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. I think this is where we're going to start to maybe veer off of each other's paths a little bit. Arkansas really has the week from hell right after this. They are at Kentucky Saturday, February 1st, at Texas Wednesday, February 5th, and then they return home Saturday, February 8th to face Alabama. This Kentucky game is interesting. We know it's Cal's return to Rupp. Listen, I think Arkansas has a better team than Kentucky does. I also understand the atmosphere, the environment. I mean, hell, we have Kentucky fans who are in Fort Worth, Texas, dressed up like the Pope, like harassing John Calipari at the TCU game the other day. And so it's just, these people are obsessed. So it's going to be a madhouse. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a Super Bowl type atmosphere for Kentucky. And that's not a disrespect to their program, but like, they're looking forward to this one, probably more than John Calipari is. I think this is a spot where Kentucky could even play over their heads in their home arena. I'm not taking that bait though, Andrew. I think Cal's going to get him. I think he's going to walk in their trap and take over their trap because it was his for 15 years. And he's going to walk in there like he still owns the place. He's going to be talking to the janitors, the ushers in the aisles. Everybody's going to be giving him hugs. It's going to piss a bunch of people off. I think Arkansas walks in there and beats those dudes at Kentucky. And it might feel a little bit bold given the circumstances, but that's exactly where I'm at with Arkansas. And I think that's like 5 SEC wins in a row that I've got for them.
Well, shout out to Aduthiero who pointed out at SEC Media Days when asked about it. He was like, when we play Kentucky at Kentucky, I'm going to have more home games on that court than anybody in the arena.
Exactly.
He's like, it ain't gonna be no unfamiliar, hostile environment for me. And Curtis, I like all what you said. You got to know sometimes when it's the other person's time to shine. It's their Super Bowl. It's their story. I think Arkansas is going. I mean, I don't think Cal is going to walk in there with any lack of motivation. I think he's going to be. He wants to beat those guys. But you mentioned Kentucky playing over their heads. That's kind of how I see this. And again, I feel like I've been very generous to Arkansas and SEC play so far. I feel like it's just one of those like due for like I have Arkansas winning all these like weird, seemingly like doable matchups that like we're just giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, yeah, you'll totally win that one. I think this is one. I think Kentucky gets them, Curtis. I think Kentucky gets them at home. I think they're going to hit like 15 threes. It's just going to be one of those like maybe they might even storm the court, Curtis. I think they might. Did I call you Curtis?
You did. I like it though. We'll go with it.
I think they might be storming the Curtis.
I think it's going to be Texas that's storming the Cordis.
Well, I have Texas beating them as well, actually. I have Arkansas going 0-2 on this road trip. It's our first real moment of the year where we're like, does Cal suck? Are we sure? The X's and O's? I mean, we know he's a good recruiter. That's when the fan base will start getting the overreactions when Arkansas goes 0-2 on this stretch, and you have them going 1-1. So now we're back at the same SEC record, which I like. But I think just Texas, you play 2 games against Texas. I think both of those teams are good. I just simply have the home teams taking care of business. Arkansas just happens to go to Austin first, which we know they do not like to play well in Moody Arena. I think Texas gets the job done there. And, I don't feel super strongly about it, but I do have Arkansas 0-2 on that road trip.
Yeah, I got them 1-1. I'm not giving Mark Pope the gratification of projecting him to beat John Calipari in their first matchup. I refuse to do it. Texas though, but yeah, it's going to be a very emotional game. And it's not just for Cal, like you mentioned it with the Arrow, but the Arrow, Wagner, Big Z, all those guys have a lot of memories there. And I feel like it's going to be a draining game for them. And I kind of have a feeling they might get their ass kicked a little bit at Texas because it's a really good team and a physical team. And it's a long road trip to go from Lexington, which is kind of on one end of the spectrum in the SEC, back down to Austin. And so there's a lot of travel involved there. I worry about that. I think they're going to take an L against Texas. And then you got Alabama at home. And I was going to take an L somewhere. This would be the logical one at home. I'm not doing it. I like Arkansas to because, man, think about the home schedule. It sucks. The home schedule sucks for Arkansas this year. They played their best game already in there. Yeah. It's just not that great. You got nothing at Bud Walton Arena in the non-conference. But Chris Beard coming to town, cool. Like Florida might be an NCAA tournament team. Okay. The heavy hitters aren't rolling in to Bud this year for whatever reason. Alabama is. And so it's going to be one of those environments where people are camping out for 2 days beforehand. It's a sellout. It's a madhouse. And I think it's just going to be a vintage Bud Walton Arena performance that wills Arkansas over the top. And then I think last year when Alabama was starting to kind of get it rolling a little bit, and then they played that Kentucky team with Reed and Rob Dillingham. We were in Arlington watching it, and Kentucky just beat the hell out of them. They just had their number and figured it out. They were playing faster than Alabama was. It was really impressive stuff. I kind of get the sense that this is Arkansas seizing the moment in Bud Walton Arena kind of deal. I got them getting a dub over Alabama.
I do as well, Curtis. And just so everybody knows, like I'm trying to be as fair as I can. And I said when they go to Kentucky, I feel like that's Kentucky's moment to kind of play out of their minds and get the job done in front of a wild, ruckus environment. I think this is Arkansas's chance to do the same thing against Alabama, especially again because I have them coming into this game on a 2-game losing streak. There's a lot of pressure involved with that. There's a lot of stakes in this game, and Arkansas, frankly, has a lot of ass whippings owed to Alabama, where they've been having their number here lately. I think the fan base is going to be fired up for this one. Should probably be the best crowd of the year in Bud Walton Arena, which is saying something because there's typically pretty good crowds there. I think it's going to be buzzing. I think Arkansas is going to play with some desperation in this matchup. Who the hell knows where Bama's going to be at? I would imagine pretty solid for top 5, top 10. I think they're going to be playing well coming into this, but I think Arkansas will rise to the occasion, get the job done at home. It's hard to win in Bud Walton Arena, man. I have not picked a loss there yet. I don't know if I'm picking one, even though I know I like your whole sentiment about how like they just never go undefeated at home. It's just kind of one of those things. I don't think this is going to be the loss at home.
Yeah, I don't either. The LSU game right after that, that's again another trap game because LSU is not going to be very good. But man, you just had such a hell of a 3-game stretch. You're staring down a really tough road trip, and you just got LSU sandwiched in the middle there on a Wednesday. Um, I don't like it a lot. They're going to win, but I think this is going to be one of those, boy, like they narrowly avoided a disastrous upset kind of deal. I mean, they're projected to win fairly comfortably, but that's just one I think to keep an eye on, people. LSU on Wednesday, February 12th there. But yeah, I got Arkansas winning that one. I guess you do as well. You're not
I
going to
do
lose
as
LSU
well.
at home.
No real controversy there,
Okay.
but I do agree that like it has all the ingredients of a hangover game.
Yeah. And then this is where I have my road sweep for Arkansas. I mean, you had the Kentucky and who the hell else was it? Texas as both losses.
Oh,
I think
like they're gonna go 0-2. Okay.
yeah, I think they're going to lose both these games to A&M and Auburn. Although I will give the caveat that I'm not buying it with A&M and I'm not buying it with Auburn in terms of where they're projected this season. In a lot of places, they got them projected higher than Arkansas. I don't think that's the case. But at this point, just based on my projections, I mean, I have Arkansas 19-5 with a really good league record. That would probably have them top 10 in the country at this point. And I think that we're going to see an A&M and Auburn team who have underachieved, and they have a really good Arkansas team coming into their home arena where it's like, oh, they got it. They really need this quadwood win. Oh, they could get themselves off the bubble, or they could really lock themselves in with this one. I think that's why this happens. Big picture, I think Arkansas is better in both of those teams. In these spots, I think that's where I have a couple L's. And this is my point where you were like, they take those 2 losses. Like, oh, does Cal suck? What's going on? I have them taking these 2 losses here, and people going, is the depth starting to wear thin as we get down the stretch of the season? Like what's going on here? Do they have enough bodies, enough gas left in the tank? This is my moment for Arkansas.
Gotcha. Well, I have them beating A&M simply because I like what you said. I don't think A&M is necessarily that good. They've had the same team for 20 years, and it's been a fine team. But I definitely don't think they're like just one of those teams. Like I don't think A&M has a particularly high ceiling, frankly. And so no, they could absolutely beat Arkansas at home. I mean, I think they will probably expect to beat Arkansas at home, and they might even be favored in this game. But I do think that it's a little bit easier to get up for the first road game in a 2-game road trip, especially because Arkansas is going to be coming off of 2 really good wins or 1 really good win and then surviving against LSU. I think Arkansas can take care of business at A&M. Not a particularly daunting atmosphere in terms of SEC basketball goes. I have them losing to Auburn for a lot of the same reasons I've been saying earlier, where it's like, I'm just not going to pick them to win 2 toss-up road games in a row. And I think Auburn of the 2 is the better team. I think they have the better environment. I think they have the better lead player in Janai Broome. I just feel like Auburn is a little bit more safe of a bet if you're just looking preseason at how these teams will be shaping up. I count on Bruce Pearl to have his team playing pretty well. Buzz Williams, to be fair, A&M has been peaking at the right times seemingly the last few years where they're playing pretty good ball in this late February, early March stretch. But I think Arkansas can get the job done at A&M. I just can't. There's no way in good faith I can pick Arkansas to go 2-0 in this matchup. And I could absolutely see them going 0-2, but I think a split is probably the happy medium.
Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. And obviously, so I have them losing both of these games. So the next one, you return home a Saturday in Bud Walton against Missouri, just strikes me as a major get-right game. I think they beat the hell out of Missouri at home in this one. And for me, that would get Arkansas to the 20-win mark on the season. You agree with the Missouri
100%.
win?
I view it the exact same way. We're like Missouri, clearly like at home. You're starting to peak. It's getting closer to March. You're playing well. You beat them pretty good. And Texas, I had Arkansas losing at Texas. I have Arkansas winning at home. I just think it's that simple. 2 good teams. The home teams win. Preseason, that's where my brain's at.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with that. I've got Arkansas beating Texas in the running it back at home. Sorry, Tremont Mark, not happening this time, buddy. You got your last win in Bud Walton Arena, man, against what was their last win in Bud?
They beat somebody, and I mean,
I can pull it up real
A&M.
quick.
I feel like they won one after that.
Their last home win was against LSU.
I was supposed to say LSU, maybe.
And that, yeah, goodness gracious. Anyway, whatever. Okay, and now here we are with another road swing against two teams that probably aren't going to be that great in the league this year. Every year a team loses a game that's just kind of a head scratcher in a spot where you're like, really? Like, what the hell happened here? I am picking Arkansas to lose at South Carolina. And this would have been a way better pick last year when they were actually really good. And maybe, like they were picked last in the preseason last year and they wound up being one of the better teams in the league. They were picked pretty low again this year with kind of a flipped roster. Maybe Lamont Paris will overachieve with them there. But this is one where I just see, you really feel like you started got some momentum and you're building towards, a great close to the regular season. And then you just go on the road on a Saturday at a place that's half full at South Carolina and you get popped and you're like, wait, what the hell just happened here? That's where I'm at with this one. Arkansas should win that game. It's a road game that they're actually favored to win, which is rare at Ken Pom. But this is going to be that one head scratcher going into March where you're like, oh, this team still got some stuff to figure out.
I really thought I was going to impress you with my knowledge by picking this as a loss.
No.
I really thought it's crazy that we're about to be unanimous on Arkansas losing a random March game to South Carolina. But for a lot of the same reasons, Curtis, where like one, I also think every year, Curtis, there's a team that like is like 6-9 in SEC play. But like as you're getting closer to March, they start playing well and you're like, are they an at-large? Do they, I think South Carolina is going to be that team. Which one? They had a phenomenal season last year, of course. I think they're going to be due for some regression overall, but ultimately Lamont Paris is an overachiever, dude. Like in that team, that program, I feel like is going to be an overachieving program under him. I don't think they're going to overachieve quite as much as they did last year, but I think they're going to be playing with a lot of desperation this time of year of like, we pretty much have to win out, and they're not going to be able to win out because they're just not that good of a team. But I do think like this is going to be one of those games that they get up for. And I mean, at home, it's tough to, it's a tough trip. Arkansas's had some shaky performances there. I think they beat them by like one a couple years ago in South Carolina. Like, again, if Arkansas goes out there and beats them by 12, I'm not going to be surprised. But I do think if we're just kind of looking ahead and trying to find moments where Arkansas could slip up, this seems like one to me. And I think Vanderbilt, which is the next one there, I think Vanderbilt, they will be able to pass that test. I think Vanderbilt's going to be a worse team in year one and then with a new head coach. It's been a house of horrors there in Nashville for Arkansas, but now with John Calipari, I think they will start 1-0 in Nashville under John Calipari.
And I remember Vanderbilt storming the floor on Kentucky at one point there, which with their tens of people who were watching, which is so weird. And I almost considered it for that very reason. But then, to your point, I was thinking, year one with a new coach, like Tyron Lawrence isn't there anymore. Vin Allen Lubin, who really hurt Arkansas last year, is not there anymore. Miles Stute, who would hit like 10 threes against Arkansas randomly. He's at South Carolina now. So like those guys are gone. And I don't think Arkansas is going to got in Nashville this time. So I got that as a win. And then I have Arkansas winning the regular season finale at home against Mississippi State. Although I will say, see, I don't know about that because for whatever reason, like Mississippi State just gets it done against Arkansas and Fayetteville more than other teams do, which is strange to me. I like Josh Hubbard. I like some of the things they got going on. However, the reason I think it's always been a pain in the ass for Arkansas is because Mississippi State is always like the world's slowest tempo, and they're just awkwardly huge and physical, and it's like a 58-55 game. He's actually built this roster a little bit differently. Like Tolu Smith is out of there finally, and they don't have all the random 7-footers that he just throws in there. I think they're going to play a little bit faster this season and a little bit smaller. I don't think that's a good thing for them when they're facing an Arkansas team. It's probably going to do that quite a bit better than them. So I think they're going to win. And I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I think it's going to be a more exciting game than we usually get when Arkansas and Mississippi State play, because those things are some freaking stinkers.
I like that. So the way I viewed it is, I think Mississippi State, like I love Chris Jans. I think he's another overachiever where whatever the projections are for Mississippi State, I have them a little bit above that. Like just unanimous. Yeah. That's how it's going to be. I think Mississippi State's going to have a good year. I think they could make the freaking tournament. I really think they're going to be like a solid, scrappy team. I think this game is going to be one that we're looking at in the moment. And we're like, crap, man, I don't know. Mississippi State's playing pretty well. Like,
they have more to play for because
defensively, but they've got the fast tempo. They're going to be doing a lot of that. And I think it makes too much sense for it to be the slugfest, to be the game that Arkansas struggles in. I think Arkansas finishes the regular season at Bud, senior night, with an ass whipping. I think they get it done.
I like that. Okay, so there we go. There we have it. I have my final record for Arkansas at 23 wins, 8 losses, and 12-6 in SEC play is where I've got them. So the losses I have for Arkansas, Baylor on a neutral, at Miami, at Tennessee. Florida is the random Bud Walton game, and then on the road against Texas A&M, Auburn, and South Carolina.
And if my math's correct, I had them 24-7.
Okay.
And 13-5 in SEC play. Does that sound right?
I think so. Yeah, because you had them.
I have them losing to Tennessee. I have them losing to Kentucky, Texas, Auburn,
and South Carolina.
Okay, so 13-5.
All right. You're a little more optimistic than me. Wow.
Sunshine Pumper over here, man.
That's crazy, man. But no, I like that. And honestly, I feel like that's about right. I really do. And I know some people might be like, oh, that's awfully generous given what we saw against TCU.
Sure.
When these dudes get in shape and assuming they stay healthy, like we haven't even seen Jonas Adu yet, this is a really good team. They really are. So, and even historically, like Calipari's teams who maybe have kind of crapped the bed early in the NCAA tournament, they're usually really good in the regular season. So that's why they get the 3 seeds or whatever in the tournament. I think if assuming they stay healthy, because really, like, you're one bad injury away from, like, it could get a little bit rocky on you. With the full squad, the floor for this team, I think, is 20 wins. I really do. I think they're going to get there. And the ceiling is even higher than where we have them, frankly, because it's a really talented roster, sure. But a good middle ground there. And this kind of sets it up to where, for both of us, I think Arkansas would be, at the end of the year, a top 5 team in the SEC standings and a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, right?
I think so. I think I'm thinking 4 seeds sounds right in my brain.
I think so too. Yeah, I really do. So, okay. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? When we were going through non-conference, I was like, damn, this is really going to take like an hour and a half, but here we are at 50 minutes, kind of right where I wanted to be. So I feel good about the way we started moving along in the process.
We did what we needed to do. We did what we needed to do on this podcast. My only plea to the Arkansas Razorback basketball team is, if you're going to make our projections look stupid, outperform them. Like, don't do it where Arkansas goes freaking 18-14 or whatever, and it's like, crap, how did we have them doing that? Because that's what happened to me last year. I predicted Arkansas to have their best regular season under Muss last year, which is a stinker, and that was a tough one. And I do not want to live in that world again. And so just do about what we did. Just do what we asked you to do. We laid it out for you. We've told you where you can slip up, where you need to really rise up. Mm-hmm. Just I feel like we were overall pretty fair.
Yeah. Inside Arkansas has given you the blueprint. Follow it. That's all you got to do.
It's a good dream.
All right, folks. So we're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody, as always, for tuning in. And then a shout out to our sponsors, all of them, man. Alumni Hall, the Leroy, obviously Rhoback. If you haven't taken advantage of that 20% off deal at rhoback.com, do that. Promo code HOGSBY20 and get hooked up with some really, really high quality stuff, whether it's Razorback gear or just something in general. You need a little hoodie for the winter weather. You can get that over there. So make sure you check them out. Get subscribed where you need to get subscribed. Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, the Pod at the Palace podcast feeds, and Pod of That Nature if you're still paying attention to this football team after that debacle against Ole Miss. But thank you guys. We really appreciate the engagement and the support from everybody. And you guys are what you keep us motivated to continue to do this. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that. Sincerely, we really do. We appreciate you. But for Andrew Ellis and Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas and the Pod of the Palace, we're going to get out of here. But we will see you again tomorrow, where we preview Arkansas season
every day for the rest of our lives. That's
it's here. Yeah, get used to us. We ain't going nowhere. See you guys. Have a good one.